How did a $500 commercial drone, operated by a small team and backed by just 12 days of intelligence preparation, neutralize a heavily fortified Russian logistics hub holding nearly $500 million in material in under 2 minutes? This is the verified, step-by-step reconstruction of the Mariupol depot strike. The intelligence gathered, the tradecraft applied, the vulnerabilities exploited, and the precise chain of events that turned a low-cost platform into a high-impact strategic success. At 4 a.m. local time on a designated morning in late September, a coordinated Ukrainian operation was set in motion against the Mariupol depot identified by multiple intelligence sources as a primary logistical node supporting Russia's southern front. For months, Ukrainian analysts had monitored the facility. By the time of the strike, they had developed a detailed operational picture. The depot was assessed to be storing up to 2 million pounds of ammunition and war materiel, roughly 50% of the small arms, artillery shells, and rocket systems moving through the Zaporizhzhia-Crimea corridor. The scale of the stockpile, combined with observed troop and vehicle movements, strongly indicated that the depot was being prepared to support a major offensive intended to shift the battlefield, balance in the region. That assessment defined the mission objective: neutralize the stockpile, deny its use in the anticipated offensive, and impose a time-critical disruption on Russian operational planning while minimizing Ukrainian exposure. This was not an improvised strike. It was the product of a deliberate 12-day intelligence and operational planning cycle led by Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence. The effort combined layered reconnaissance, electronic order of battle mapping, human intelligence collection, deception operations, redundancy in command and control, and a carefully sequenced attack plan designed to defeat both kinetic and electronic defenses. From the outset, Ukrainian intelligence fused multiple collection streams. High-resolution commercial satellite imagery from Maxar provided structural analysis of the depot compound mapping warehouse layouts, vehicle access routes, and transport staging patterns. Simultaneously, an ALIA-100 unmanned aerial platform operated at approximately 6,500 feet, about 1.2 miles, conducting signals intelligence collection. It mapped radio frequency and radar emissions, building a detailed electromagnetic profile of the depot's defensive systems. Those signals revealed a layered defensive posture, a Pantsir S-1 surface-to-air battery for medium-range engagement, rapid-fire Zu-232 anti-aircraft systems for close-in defense, and a Borisovsk-2 electronic warfare system designed to detect and jam small unmanned aerial systems by disrupting command and control links. On the ground, local partisan networks operating within a few miles of the depot supplied critical tactical confirmation. They reported vehicle movement cycles, personnel rotations, and most importantly, the quantity and type of stored ammunition. Their reporting aligned with satellite imagery and signals intelligence, producing a consolidated estimate of roughly 2 million pounds of ammunition staged for redistribution to frontline units. The convergence of satellite, signals, and human intelligence reduced key uncertainties and allowed planners to model the cascading effects of a successful ignition inside the compound. Russian defensive posture at Mariupol reflected confidence. The combination of layered air defenses and an electronic warfare envelope was intended to make the depot effectively untouchable to small drone threats. The Borisovsk-2 system in particular was optimized to disrupt the radio telemetry and control links commonly used by commercial drones, rendering standard remote piloting unreliable. Ukrainian planners responded by selecting a low-cost, high-impact delivery platform, a commercially available FPV drone identified in operational notes as a hybrid 3DTECH model equipped with a 10-pound shaped warhead. The platform's acquisition cost was approximately $500. The selection criteria were precise: a small physical profile and minimal radar and thermal signature for low-altitude penetration, compatibility with a fiber-optic tether to defeat RF jamming, and a hybrid control architecture allowing AI-assisted stabilization combined with direct human piloting for final targeting. Recognizing the robustness of the depot's defenses, planners incorporated deliberate deception. Over the 12-day preparation period, Ukrainian teams transmitted fabricated radio traffic mimicking preparations for a major ground assault roughly 100 miles west of Mariupol near Kherson. These transmissions were broadcast on frequencies known to be monitored by Russian signals intelligence. The objective was clear: draw elite units and attention away from the depot and create a narrow operational window for a precision strike. The deception worked. Russian command elements reacted to the false signals by repositioning units they believed were reinforcing a threatened rear area. Among those moved were a 6-man naval infantry detachment and elements of the specialized Akhmat Vostok UAV squad. Intelligence suggests they relocated to the Mariupol region under the assumption that it was a secure rear area position. Not everything proceeded friction-free. An initial attempt to access Russian CCTV feeds to track a specific target vehicle failed due to cyber defenses protecting the local network. The contingency plan was immediately activated. Partisans operating roughly 2 miles from the depot relayed real-time coordinates via Starlink uplink. To ensure an unjammable command and control link, the strike drone was launched with a fiber-optic tether spool that unspooled behind it during flight. This physical connection provided a secure, high-bandwidth video and control link immune to electronic warfare interference. The final approach unfolded under adverse conditions. Approximately 30 seconds before impact, mission logs recorded a persistent 20-knot crosswind, about 23 miles per hour, forcing continuous stabilization corrections. The drone's onboard AI executed thousands of micro-adjustments per second to maintain heading and attitude, while a human operator provided supervisory inputs to counter lateral drift and tether-induced drag. It was a true hybrid control model, automated stabilization paired with human-guided precision. To further divert Russian defenses, Ukrainian forces launched 5 decoy drones, each costing roughly $200. These systems simulated the electronic and radar signatures of a larger swarm, broadcasting engineered emissions to resemble multiple inbound threats. The Panzer battery responded predictably. Russian forces engaged the decoys, expending approximately 57 E-6 family interceptors in the process. Based on estimated unit costs, Russia spent roughly $360,000 in interceptors to destroy drones worth only a fraction of that amount, while the actual strike platform remained undetected on a different axis of approach. And the decisive moment was seconds away. An expenditure that, while costly, appeared acceptable to Moscow if the perceived larger threat had truly been neutralized. While the Panzer units and supporting air defenses focused on engaging the decoys several miles away, the rebuff drone advanced along a separate axis at low altitude, approximately 130 feet above ground, minimizing radar and optical exposure. Because it operated via fiber-optic tether, the Borisov's 2 electronic warfare systems' RF jamming capabilities were effectively bypassed. At a critical moment, the operator switched the drone into dark mode, cutting RF telemetry entirely and relying exclusively on the fiber-optic link for control and video feed. In an environment saturated with electronic suppression, that redundancy proved decisive. Even so, the mission encountered escalating complications. A Russian FPV patrol drone detected a thermal signature roughly 2 miles from the target, triggering intensified jamming activity. Moments later, the fiber-optic tether snagged on a power pole, restricting maneuverability and threatening total mission failure. The situation worsened when a Russian Grad rocket detonated nearby, whether fired in panic or as suppression, its shockwave destabilizing the already compromised system. The strike now hinged on seconds and skill. The pilot exploited the snagged tether as a pivot point, swinging the drone behind a warehouse to break enemy line of sight and prevent full cable failure. Simultaneously, via Starlink, partisan teams were instructed to illuminate a secondary ground decoy using a laser designator. The tactic worked. The Russian patrol drone diverted toward the laser-lit decoy, reopening a narrow corridor for the final approach. Through a 108p fiber-optic video feed, the operator locked onto the primary target, a truck entering the depot grounds. It was identified by intelligence as carrying 6 naval infantry personnel along with Akhmat Vostok UAV specialists. With Russian kinetic defenses still distracted and aerial patrol assets diverted, the window had opened. The final run unfolded with microsecond precision. Using the masking cover of a ruined structure, the pilot accelerated to approximately 37 miles per hour. The drone struck the truck's engine block. Its 10-pound shaped charge ruptured the fuel system, triggering a violent secondary detonation within the vehicle. That ignition cascaded into the far greater hazard, nearly 2 million pounds of ammunition stored inside the adjacent depot. What followed was catastrophic. A chain of sympathetic detonations erupted across the compound. Stored rockets and munitions ignited in rapid succession, unleashing sustained thermal and kinetic energy. After action reporting describes a rolling series of secondary explosions, including Grad rockets continuing to detonate for nearly 3 minutes after the initial strike. While precise overpressure and temperature data remain unconfirmed in open sources, available imagery and assessments confirm total destruction of the depot and complete loss of the stockpile. The strategic consequences were immediate. The destruction severed a critical logistics corridor between Crimea and Zaporizhia. This forced Russian commanders to reroute supplies and revise operational timelines. Analysts estimate the depot sustained roughly 10,000 frontline troops. The loss of approximately 3 weeks' worth of ammunition imposed a near-term constraint on offensive options in the region. Command assessments indicate that planned operations, including the timing and composition of a major offensive, were materially disrupted. From a cost-effectiveness perspective, the outcome was extraordinary. An economic ratio approaching 1 million to 1 based purely on material loss. Beyond the financial calculus, the strike delivered psychological and tactical shock. A demonstration that even layered defenses could be penetrated through disciplined planning and asymmetric execution. Several technical and doctrinal lessons emerge. First, layered kinetic defenses focused on RF threats can be undermined by non-RF control links. In this case, a fiber-optic tether combined with deception and redundancy. Second, the operation underscores the power of converged intelligence. Commercial satellite imagery, LV-based signals intelligence, and reliable human reporting fuse to reduce uncertainty and enable precision targeting. Third, low-cost decoys prove strategically valuable. Approximately $200 per decoy compelled Russia to expend an estimated $360,000 in interceptors. This created exploitable gaps in coverage. Operational tradecraft proved equally critical. Planners anticipated multiple failure points: CCTV denial, electronic warfare escalation, tether snagging, and spontaneous counterfire. Each had a contingency: Starlink-based coordinate updates, dark mode fiber control, prepared ground decoys. Without those redundancies, a single disruption could have aborted the mission. From a broader doctrinal perspective, the Mariupol strike illustrates a shifting battlefield equation. Commercially available systems, when integrated with high-quality intelligence and disciplined command and control structures, can impose disproportionate effects on conventional military infrastructure. It is a case study in how asymmetric tactics, when executed with rigor, can penetrate presumed secure rear areas. For military analysts, the strike raises critical questions. How secure are high-value logistical stockpiles? How resilient are electronic warfare systems against non-RF solutions? How adaptable are air defense decision loops under multi-axis deception? And what is the sustainable economic calculus of interceptor expenditure when facing low-cost threats? Technical superiority does not equal invulnerability, especially when predictable defensive patterns meet adaptive, intelligence-driven tactics. In sum, the Mariupol depot strike was not a lucky shot. It was a deliberately engineered effect. Produced by 12 days of coordinated intelligence work, redundancy-based tradecraft, calculated deception, and the tactical adaptation of a commercially available drone, operating under severe electronic attack. In approximately 94 seconds of terminal action, 2 million pounds of ammunition were destroyed. Elite personnel were eliminated. A logistics backbone supporting thousands of troops was severed, and a planned offensive was disrupted days before an international peace summit. A low-cost solution imposed strategic consequences on a conventionally superior adversary.